Am I live? Ooh, I am live. I am live. So, yeah, you guys are having issues with the timing, so am I. Because my laptop, this laptop that I've had it since I was in DC, the timing is set for 1 hour ahead. And apparently, they are making it so difficult to change the time to where my location is. It says automatically set the time zone. So the time zone should be here central, and it's not. So I'm just like confused. So yeah, I'm in the same boat as you guys are. All right. And those of you who think I'm why am I wearing glasses? I've got eye infection, of course. And I got it. I already knew it was happening, but the thing is, I bought shoes. I bought shoes on Sunday. Monday, the shoes arrived on Amazon. Monday night, I saw a bit of a pink eye. And next thing you know, boom, boom. So, let's see here. So I don't know what time this thing is showing, but should be the correct time. But anyway, so the first question is from Stephanie Nicole. She's saying, when using relocation chart while living in a foreign land, does the relocation chart becomes a chart we should read more often for transit, or should we use our natal chart, moon chart, for most transit? No, use your natal chart. Use your natal chart. Okay, because your karmas don't change just because you're changing locations. So let's get that clear. If you're supposed to be dealing with one particular thing, let's say, for example, I'm dealing with my eye thing, and I'm like, okay, well, let me travel to Netherlands, see what happens. It's still gonna happen, and it's still gonna go away when it's supposed to. The only time the relocation part makes sense is when you look at the what do you call there? It's a specific term, but usually we known as planetary lines. Okay, you want to look at planetary lines. When you move to a country, a state, a region that has the line of the planet, which is the most powerful in your chart, when you move to that region, now that activates that particular part of your karma in that location. It just becomes active. It's like you're having another simultaneous dasha happening. And then obviously you also want to look at your harmonious lines. So there are disharmonious lines and harmonious lines. Mostly pay attention to harmonious lines because, again, wherever you go, there's going to be disharmonious lines. It's better to move where the harmonious lines are. Okay, so that becomes important. So no, use the same natal chart. Then Mystique is saying, do planets that represents us personally, for instance, moon being the mind, have any significance when it's also the karka of someone in our lives, such as the spouse, if it's a dharakarka, when it comes to the relationship? Or alternatively, if Venus is the Atmakarka, for example, and represents our soul, but also represents the spouse, does it give any special connection? Very, very good question. So, moon is the mind. Moon is the mind, mother, comfort, happiness, emotions, gems, jewelry, food, wealth. But when it's Dharakarka, number one, or it rules the seventh house, it will also represent the quality of the person you go to bed with. It represents the quality of the person that you're with. Now, you may not find that synchronicity with some of the people you were dating, because that dating phase could be depending upon the Mahanantra Dasha and how you meet that person. And it just goes away because you are destined to be with certain people and certain amount of people. So whether it's your first marriage, second marriage, third marriage, there is a set destiny with each one of them. So in that case, yes, you want to look at both. And what happens is both the way your mind is, the way your thinking pattern is, that person will also display the same characteristics. Your Atmakarka being Venus, while also the significator of marriage, will show again the same quality. And this is why you'll see many times why people chose someone else. Why? Because you guys had some compatibility and some interest together. You loved hiking and the other person loved hiking. Perhaps both of you had Swati Nakshatra in your chart. Your Dharakarka, I'm sorry, meaning not both chart, but your moon was in Dharakarka. Oh, I'm sorry, your moon is in Swati as your Dharakarka. So that means now both of those things are playing out. Or you could be a Capricorn ascendant with, with moon, or actually no, you could be a Aries ascendant with moon in the 7th house in Swati. So now moon, which is also representing that particular individual, because it is in the 7th house. So you always got to look at, remember, you can't pinpoint this person is just this. It's like saying this thing is just blue. Well, guess what? There's also gold hair as well. There's also black hair as well. So there's multifacets to one individual. Their food interest could be from some other planet in your chart. Their like dislike could be from some other planet in your chart. Their health issue will be seen from some other planet in your chart, or maybe the similar planet. So very same thing will be playing out. Then the next question is, what's the meaning? So this is from Mario Polo Verari. What's the meaning behind the ascendant nakshatra of Navamsha? What does it indicate? How important is it, and how does it play a part in life of a personal chart? So there are different pool of thoughts where some people will not consider nakshatras or anything in the Navamsha, but I and the group that I've learned under, okay, they use it. And especially when I've tried and tested, it clearly shows what the goals are when it comes to marriage. What the goals are when it comes to marriage. Who do you become in the path, in your soul's path, as your planets mature? Because Navamsha is really, it can work in any age, but it really shows the manifestation of the maturity of the individual. Because remember, your goals change in life, or certain things are set, but new additional things come into play. And ascendant nakshatra will show your attitude and desire within the marriage. So for example, let's say I'm giving Swati nakshatra. Let's say your ascendant nakshatra is Swati. It's Libra ascendant in Navamsha. You're going to want freedom in a marriage and relationship. Number one, you cannot be in a relationship where you're going to have to be kind of bogged down by certain rules and regulations that you have to tell and text your spouse where you're at, when you're leaving, who you're with, who you're talking to. You want freedom. If you want to be able to go out with a group of your friends on Friday night, okay, that's it. Let me go. I'm going. And at the same time, it also brings the natural interest in entrepreneurship. With the marriage and the situations of the marriage, it shows that one will suddenly find their destined path towards even like wanting to attain different sources of income, alternative sources of income, and a lot more, because then you can see Rahu's position in the Navamsha. So it again, so the birth chart shows the soul's desire. The birth ascendant is showing what the soul's desire and what is some of the qualities that it's being manifested with. Navamsha shows the desire within the marriage and what qualities will be manifested within the marriage. And it is showing the qualities that you will embrace in your maturity age, which especially I always said 36. Why 36? Because Saturn matures at 36. Okay, and Saturn has a boundary ring around it. Saturn is the most important maturity point. At 36, you will see not 20, not 25, not 28, not 32. 36 onwards, they always say, okay, this athlete needs to retire now. because that's when the physical body changes. That's when you start losing your hair. You start getting wrinkles. You see? So it's important. And then Saturn is known in Greek mythology, including, I believe, in Babylonian mythology, where it controls all the planets within its realm, within the ring. There's like a big, long ring, and all the planets are shown under it. So now it shows the maturity is maturing all the other planets as well. But Saturn is the most important because it's the karma. Your karmas are manifesting. Navamsha is the fruits of the karma. This is why Saturn is attached to it. So then the next question. Planets below, okay, so this is Neurosi. Planets below 1 degree are considered powerless, weak. But what if a planet is within 5 degrees of the ascendant degree? Will it still have minimal effect or maximum in the native's life? So first of all, this I know classics have said this, not actually classics, some of the medium classics written maybe 400-500 years ago, 700 years ago. Okay, like Pullipani Jyotish or Uttrakal. They have said, or even if you look at Lajitaji Avastas, the degrees of the planet, like the old Avastas, medium Avasta, young Avasta, I've not seen that like working. I have seen planets below 1 degree. Forget about even the ascendant degree. Ascendant degree could be anything. Below 1 degree planet, especially, you will see malefic planets below 1 degree lessen their malefic effect. So you actually would want that. But they give good and bad results exactly the way it's supposed to be. Okay. So when we say, okay, well, this planet is infant, they're going to be very immature about this. No, that's not true. And yes, the ascendant degree point is important. So if any planet is near the ascendant degree point, yes, that planet becomes powerful. But then you want to ask yourself a question, logical question. What type of power it's attaining? Is it attaining like the power that you want or the power you don't want? That is very important. And that is seen through certain ascendants having certain lordships, certain karkavastas in those lordships. So that's important. But otherwise, never worry about if a planet is at 29 degrees or less than 1 degree or 1 degree. They give results. This is from my own life experience. Then, Grow and Prosper asked, for singles, is there a way to direct sexual energy into a higher chakra or convert it into oja instead of wasting it? And for married couple, is there a way to use the sexual energy for spiritual and self-realization? Very good question. Because I was going to say, man, it's not just single, it's everybody. Okay? Single or partner people or married people. And one of the things is, yeah, you just don't do anything. Don't waste that energy. And I heard, I guess the name could be completely wrong. Either Swami Shivananda, somebody with that similar name theme, Swami Shiva something. I remember it saying that if you don't do anything for 12 years, nothing, not even with the spouse, nobody, not even by yourself, you'll automatically ascend to the higher level. You will automatically open those things, because what happens is the fluid, they start circulating the body. And then at one point, what happens is it penetrates through the spine and raises to, like for example, a barometer, like a thermometer, that red line rising. It just happens. Now, for married couple, and this is where I think the next question that was asked for me from Sharonika, can you do Panchanga series or at least make a video about it? I feel Panchanga is constantly overlooked by astrologers like Vara, Tithi, Karna, Nakshatra, Yoga. No, these are important. And this is where it correlates to what Grow and Prosper is asking, that certain tithis of the moon, okay, certain tithis of the moon at certain time if you were to do a certain ritual, which of course I can't describe it here, explain it here, if you do that particular ritual with your spouse, then what happens is the energy that is you think it's wasting, but if you're not creating children, it's not. It is actually now it becomes something else. Like for example, if you do kriya yoga, I'm not going to explain what how there are certain things you are manifesting within you, even though you don't see them, you're manifesting within you. So same thing here. When you do certain type of those rituals with certain mantras, and especially when that moment comes and you say certain things, it completely becomes that exchange of positive ojic energy. This is where the actual tantra comes into play. It wasn't to enjoy the sexual part. It was for married couple to enjoy while rise at the same time. But again, this is not something you can just do every day and think like, well, you're going to be doing it. No, there's this the tithis and the phases of the moon, the nakshatra, the var that you're doing it on. This is where the panchanga can be used. Okay. And yes, I may make a series on it, but I'll probably do it on KRS vlogs on my academy, Magha Vedic Astrology Academy, because here I have a lot of young people and middle-aged people and old people. All of them are following. So at least in my vlogs, only 18 and over are allowed to join. So it's going to be much more, conducive and doable in that particular place. So I might do that there. Then, conjunction between Venus. Okay. So then, okay, this is personal planetary placement, guys. That's not gonna help here. So then Manush Modi asked, my question is, can we increase or control our lifespan by taking control on our breath, by doing Kriya Yoga and go through our Marka Dashas by suppressing or extending our life? Yes. You pretty much answered your question. So I guess you looked into it. Like they say, a yogi will take less than 5 breaths a minute. So when you start doing that, no matter what activity you're doing, then if you look at this, actually this individual, Swami Shivananda, this is not the same one that I was referring to about the Oja thing. This is, he just received Padam Bhushan. What's his name? What's his name? Guru Swami Shivananda. Yeah, this is not the Shivananda that I was talking about. I guess my subconscious may have said this name, but like he lived till 125 years. He's still living. And the way it is seen, not just by yogas in your chart. For example, I remember Kendra once saying that if Saturn is the Atmakarka, okay, in the Lagna of the Karakamsha, the person lives for 100 years. But it's not the Karakamsha of the Navamsha. It's taking the position of Saturn in the Navamsha and making it the ascendant in the birth chart. So if that's where Saturn is, person can live for 100 years. So there's all these little things, especially in Faldipika. It's given combinations of these long lives, including even using D30 chart for women. So you can see that. But yes, that's one thing that can overwrite those things. Absolutely. But it's not an easy task. You gotta constantly be in that mode. Like I'm talking right now. That means I have to take many, many breaths. So it is something that I always practice when I do my Kriya. Like this is nothing to do with Kriya, but I'll take, just to get myself ready for like 5-10 minutes, I'll take 8 seconds breath in, 8 seconds breath holding, then 8 seconds to exhaust that breath, and 8 seconds holding without taking any breath. You do that, you'll feel something here in the heart. And the thing is, the more this gets used to it, the more it's now doing something within you. But it takes, even long time to manifest something out of that. Learn from people. Okay, so Deep Mehta, I wanted to ask that having a certain constellation such as Jeshta, Uttarashada, and I have learned from your videos that these people are undefeated. So do all person having these are undefeated or planetary combinations also say a greater say? Yes, it's a combination of that because look, I've seen charts of criminals who have Jeshta and Uttarashada. I see charts of spiritual people who will have Jeshta and Uttarashada because you want to see the action that they take. Okay, the action that they take, what time period they're taking those action in to be undefeated. Because if they have this thing called being undefeated, okay, it's kind of like you have a rocket that is ready to launch. It's sitting right there. You're like, it's like Uttarashara, it's a rocket. But it's not going to be flown until the weather is right, until all the circumstances are right, and the planet is at the right position, or this meteorite at this right position. So when it launches, it goes there and it's successful. Now, if you just launch it because it's a rocket, it'll just go no matter what. No, maybe the weather is so bad, the rocket will go like that, and then go down. So in the right time period, the action that you take, yes, you will find victory in those. Because that's one of those set rules that, okay, you have a rocket. How you use it, when you use it, now that's the most important thing. Then carbon 12, could you please explain the electromagnetic point of all planets have to cross, which sometimes equals to a natal planet being at 00 point degrees? I think I've actually mentioned this in one of my like Q&A videos, that when a planet changes signs, there is a shift in its electromagnetic energy. How true is that? There's no tool to prove it. Okay. But the people who are highly realized, people who know, who have this high definition antenna instead of our SD antenna, they can see that, you know what? There is a shift in this planet's energy now. Because and remember, it's like, how did the Rishi actually determine the point of that 30-degree zodiac signs? Why? Because they knew that at each 30 degree, there is some magnetic force that is changing. And this is how the zodiac signs are being made. So even if, let's say, you could never see the stars, let's say something happened where you just clouds and you don't see the stars at all, certain people with certain heightened energy and awareness, they'll be like, no, this is the point where this electromagnetic energy is. So mathematically, this is the point they have to cross. This is how you can see. But there's nothing else to say that, yeah, it just has that particular point. But now you said if it's at 0 degrees, that's why I've always said the 0 degrees. I've seen it once or twice in my life where a planet, Venus, I remember for this one person, 0 degrees. And I think they were starting their Venus Dasha in 2026. And I believe I told them too, like, let me know what happens, because these are the points of planets that bring about a major force. Like they have this, it's kind of like being electrified. Something that has electricity in it, it's completely alive. Why? Because they're going through that point that has that electromagnetic energy. Now imagine if you're born right there. That means it's completely charged. It's constantly charged in your life. So it is going to be, but then again, I say this, what type of a charge do you want? You want that positive charge or negative charge? You have to see it through that. Vivek Vora, when moon is in the houses other than Kendra and Trikon, then should we use dashas other than Vimshotri, like Keshma, Adhana, Utpana? First of all, I've never heard of these dashas. I mean, astrologers can barely manage to master one Vimshotri dasha or Chara dasha and hear all these dasha. But there are conditional dashas, okay, like Ashtotri dasha, Shodatotri dasha, Panchtotri dasha, and of course you have other dasha like Drik dasha, Yogini dasha, Lagna Kendradhari dasha. They have to have a special feature in a chart, like ascendant lord in the 10th house, exchange between the first and seventh lord. Um, if the Lagna lord is exalted in Kendra, then you'll use one dasha. But the dashas that you have mentioned, I haven't even heard of those dashas. And if this is like somebody's just saying that these dasha exist, well, you got to ask them, what is the classical reference? So, like, for example, you were saying Keshma dasha, okay? If I look into my software, there is no such thing as Keshma dasha. So whenever somebody tells you there's these dashas, just ask them what is the classical source. If they say it's this family parampara, then you're just taking chances in those things. Then let's see. So Love Vedic Astrology said, what effects will be when Atmakarka, let's say Saturn is Atmakarka, is Vargottama, meaning it's in the same sign in the birth and same sign in the Navamsha. You can even use Vargottama with other divisional charts. So if your Saturn is in the same sign in the birth and the Samsha, that's Vargottama. Same sign in the birth and Dvadasamsha, Vargottama. Sastiyamsha, Vargottama. Dvada, Chaturtatamsa, same thing. Trimsamsa, same thing. It's not just Navamsha. You can use that analysis with any chart. So they're saying, and what happens when Atmakarka, Lagna, and Rahu Ketu are Vargottama, especially when Ketu is in the first house, Rahu in the seventh house, both in D1 and D9 chart. Okay, so this is a very, very interesting thing that you're saying here. One thing you will notice with Vargottama Rahu Ketu in the 1-7 axis, this person's chart will be the most difficult to predict things. It's like Rahu and Ketu locked the astrologer's ability to make an analysis. But again, do not think that Rahu Ketu will only give negative results if it's in the first 7 in the birth and Navamsha, because Rahu Ketu will mainly give their results of their sign dispositor and the nakshatra dispositor. Especially mainly first focus on the sign. That's the foundation. Nakshatra Lord will also show the results that you were get. So you want to see where is the dispositor of Rahu Ketu? Is it creating any yoga? Raj Yoga, Dhan Yoga, Rishta Yoga, Panch Mahapurush Yoga, anything. And then in the same thing you want to do in Navamsha. In Navamsha, where's the dispositor of Rahu? Because you can't just rely on one dispositor of the birth chart. This is why Rahu Ketu give such mixed results in their dasha. They give literally results of everything. And this is why Rahu dasha, always you will see a person feels confused. What's their aim in life? What they're supposed to do? They feel this eclipse in front of them. Okay, but 1-7 naturally becomes that eclipse point, but still a person can do extremely well based on where the charts are. So if all these planets are Vargottama Saturn will definitely give excellent results. Excellent results. Like especially if you look at the birth chart of Susan Wojcicki, CEO of YouTube. She has debilitated Saturn both in birth, Navamsha, Dasamsha. And she's a multi-billionaire. Probably, I think she's worth $500 million now. And if you were to ignore that, and if you, let's say, didn't even know what degree is this Saturn landing in, you would completely make a mistake in this person's chart. And especially Vargottama Saturn brings about tremendous amount of creativity in a person. Their karma is to actually exhaust with creativity. And she has been in arts and all of that, and now she's a CEO from this media company. So you can see how important a Vargottama planet is. Even including, I was looking at some other politicians' chart just this last week. I won't say their name, but they have Vargottama debilitated Saturn, and they're worth $400-500 million easily. So yes, Vargottama planets become very strong, especially when they're Pushkara Navamsha. There are certain degrees in each zodiac sign which becomes a Pushkara Navamsha. And at that point, a planet is becoming strong, especially if Vargottama, although I don't have my chart here, that would be even more strong. But yes, Pushkara Navamsha and Vargottama are very, very powerful positions in a chart. SB, your question I can't answer here. Sagar Chaudhary, hey Kapil, what indicates a successful long distance relationship, especially marriage? Well, I'm pretty sure the marriage is going to take place in one place, because that would be the first case if one is one country, the other is the other country, and they're getting married. I'm sure there must have been something of that sort, but I've never heard it. But yes, when especially your seventh lord is in the ninth or 12th house with the aspect of a benefic, especially Jupiter, Venus, one will have a successful relationship which is long distance. And you want to again look for that same planet in the Navamsha, not the seventh lord in the Navamsha. Look at that same seventh lord in the Navamsha and see if there's any malefic impact, because then they will show that the relationship starts well, long distance. But when it comes time to solidifying that relationship, it can bring in hurdles by certain family members that are being represented with that aspect upon that planet or conjunction with that planet. So it's a very simple thing. And if let's say you have a planet that's not receiving benefic or malefic aspect, but it is in those particular position, ninth and 12th house, or especially if let's say seventh lord goes into the 11th, that means its padha will be in the third. That's where also a person will have a long distance relationship. But make sure that planet in Navamsha is also in a good condition. Because again, it's very simple. Malefics will bring in some hurdles. Mars will poke, Saturn will suppress, Rahu Ketu will eclipse, Sun will burn. So look at those particular things. Oh, this is a good one. Nikisha, wait, what is it? Nikisha Tohota, 89. Does Jupiter get more activated when getting a guru or when getting a husband for a woman? Yes, and yes. Okay, absolutely. Especially when you go towards a guru. It's like whatever your Jupiter is, debilitated, hemmed by malefics, Arishta Yoga, what happens is it starts getting purified. Like imagine, how can I say this? Like imagine there was all this like sticky goo on this, right? This is your Jupiter. It has all the sticky goo. As soon as you go near a guru that is supposed to be your guru, what happens is it's like this thing starts getting heating up, and then it starts melting. It starts melting. And so the guru, the Jupiter in your chart is now being purified by the ignition of the guru, the essence of that real guru, the Jupiter. So yes, absolutely it does. Now with the husband, it gets activated. So wherever your Jupiter is, you will see after marriage that as soon as the marriage happens, you start focusing on your Jupiter. See what's happening with that Jupiter. Within a month, you should just see those activities becoming active. Okay, and naturally Jupiter is that quality of the husband along with Venus as well. So this is again goes back to my first question or second question. Yeah, first question, that you have to do these like you have to look at the multi facets of the entire chart, because Jupiter is not just going to represent the husband. It's going to be your Jupiter, seventh lord, Venus, including Dharakarka, and they might all be separate planets. Okay, which of course Jupiter and Venus would be separate. Um, EL, can you please talk about bugs and astrology? So I started my Ketu Antradasha and bugs have been following me everywhere. Well, yeah, Rahu, Ketu are insects. Like, especially if you read the book Saravali in chapter 4, it's actually shown Ketu ruling bugs, but also monkey. And Rahu also ruling bugs and also like pox, as I remember, like pox and all that. So, like for example, right now with the monkey pox, if you look at it, it's not to do with Saravan or Purvashada, even though Saturn is looking at Saravan nakshatra through Sarvobhadra Chakra. But Ketu in Saravali, the animal monkey, is giving its significance to Ketu. But yes, those are bugs. So yes, you are going to get that. Anytime you go towards any wilderness area, you're going towards Rahu Ketu domain, where they're wild, they're outcast, they're unorthodox. So what is happening is you're going into a wild territory. So insects, bugs, poisonous bugs, all of that is going to be there. Okay, then and Shaisla was saying Andromedan, Arcturians, Palladians. Can one see from the chart where one had most lives or lived? First of all, we don't know if we're being recycled back into this earth. Maybe our karma is only having us recycle ourselves on this planet over and over again, and you can't go outside the boundary unless you go through Nirvikalpa Samadhi. Then you can go be born on any other planet. But yes, at least one thing I know in my life, which I didn't do it, somebody else told me that Arcturians come and they watch me. And I have a link with Andromedans. So how accurate that is, what is that? I don't know. Once I get to that point, I'll realize what it is. It's funny though, like three separate people who come and stayed with us, including my mom, says whenever you leave, whenever you go out overnight, couple of days somewhere, there's all this footsteps in your office, like somebody's walking. Yeah. Like, it's like my mom, I left, me and my wife left for the weekend somewhere just last month. And my mom's like, oh my God, I was so panicked because your door was closed, but then somebody was walking because her room is right above my office. So I'm like, yeah, I know this. So yeah, I don't know what that is, but it's nothing scary though. And maybe I'm just old now, so I don't feel those fears anymore. But it's nothing scary, I feel. Best qualities and how should they channel their energy? Okay. Kritika Padha 1. Best qualities and how should they channel their energy? Discuss this. But this is from Vanessa Antreta. So what happens with Kritika Padha 1, it's going to land itself in that particular Pada lands itself in Leo. So this becomes a regal royal fighter. You will see quite a bit of politicians. You will see people who are in powerful positions, executive positions with this particular padha. People who are also master of fire rituals with this padha. The first padha of Kritika, actually, no, wait. Is it? Actually, let me check. I don't think it's the first padha. Let me make sure of that. Um, See, right now, yeah, it is. It's a fire sign, but it's Sagittarius. Sorry, not Leo. Sagittarius. So Sagittarius, it lands itself in Sagittarius Padha, which is still again fire. So again, this is why I said like they will perform fire rituals. But this is in this particular Padha, you will see lawyers. Okay. You will see a lot of lawyers, a lot of people who actually study the Vedic literature, or like, for example, ancient religious theosophical literature. They also do extremely well in copywriting and editing, because the first pada is showing something with publishing. Kritika is the cut, the edit in something. So it shows the editing part of it. Yeah, I don't know why the Leo came into my head. So then, and there's other things too that I don't know if I can discuss here. There's other things too. I have to be very careful now what I say, because then people are like, you know, thinking too much into those things. Mm, Office work. So CS asked, could you please share some vastu or nakshatra tips for office or work? I just got a new job. Well, again, that's like opening up a whole Pandora box. And yes, I know after I made that video on my Cares vlogs about Vastu and paintings, they want me to just do a whole thing on Vastu. And I said, I'm not going to do it right now, but it's like they're pushing me. But I don't know, maybe next month, maybe in October, I might do something where I'll just fully talk about Vastu. But if you're in a new office, see, again, I can't say, because we got to see what your fourth lord is and which planets is conjunct or is being aspected by. And whichever one is the more powerful of that, that particular direction of your office would be suitable. Okay. So, for example, for one individual, north direction does the best. For another one, southwest direction is doing the best, or south direction is doing the best. So I can't really give you the tips of that and where your desk should be, because depending upon, so let's say, for example, you're doing banking work. Okay. If you're doing anything related to banking, face northwest. If you're doing anything related to accounting, analysis of crunching numbers, or even finding new business, new clients, face northeast. Okay. If you're going to be doing a lot of analysis and a lot of strategies, you can face towards what is that? Yes, southeast. If you are the head boss, in your company, you should always take the office which is in the southwest direction of that building or that office. So if you have a whole floor where you have, let's say, 20, 30, 40 employees and you are the boss, make sure that your office is in the southwest and you're sitting with the southwest behind you and you're looking towards northeast. So there's those things. The other thing is that, well, I wouldn't recommend a fish aquarium, because again, at a job like scenario, you could be hired one day and laid off within a month, which happens on daily basis now. But it's always good to have like those recycling fountains towards the northern direction of your office. So in case if you're let go of something, you just have to unplug it and go. So whenever you're in the office working, make sure you fill the water and then it recycles. When you leave, you can take it off. That helps the energy, that it's helped the recycling of the positive energy within the office itself. And again, depending upon what you're doing, then only I will tell you have this item or have this item or have this brass item. Because if you're doing IT work, I will not be suggesting you something that a banker should be having on their desk. So again, this is more of a personal analysis type of a thing. Then Helo Yoniosi asks, give us the best remedy to find our life purpose, Sure. Simplest. This is the simplest question you ask. Get initiated into Kriya Yoga and do Kriya Yoga every day. You will know exactly who you are and what your purpose is. Simple. Do Kriya. Okay. That is the way to everything. So Ren S is asking, astrologically, what is activated and the effects of this activation when one takes to spiritual practice? So depending upon what kind of a practice you're doing, most of, let's say, yogic practices that you're especially initiated into is the activation of the eighth house. Something that you're doing, let's say, for example, if you're getting into Buddhist practices, that's more of 12th house. If you're simply reciting the verses of Bhagavad Gita, Quran, the Bible, then you're activating the ninth house. Right? There's karma yoga, there's bhakti yoga, there's all kinds of yogas out there. But especially when you do certain secret practices that you get initiated into, then it is activating your eighth. And it is naturally activating your Jupiter and Ketu. Okay, so those things get activated. And especially for astrologers, it's the most important thing to get initiated into Kriya. You will see how your astrological analysis gets activated. Like once I became a Kriya Ban, only I think a month and a half after that, I suddenly was like, okay, I want to do pending karma reading for people. Because I was doing it, analyzing it, but never had the desire to do it, never wanted to do it. Suddenly, after once I got initiated, month and a half later, I'm like, okay, let's help people with their pending karmas. So then I started doing that, and it just comes. It comes really quickly. And of course, if you see, I have my my rosary beads here. What also helps is, especially for astrology, you must do the Vedic mantras or the Bij mantra of each planet for 40 days. And there's sometimes you have to do it 20,000 of these mantras, 10,000 of these mantras, 8,000 of these mantras. So I'm practically on sun right now. So what happens is you must do that. And you will see how the planet actually, like you will see when you walk into a room and you go up to someone, you might suddenly see a flash of sun on their forehead. And you can just tell that person like something about their sun. Maybe their sun is in the ascendant. This is how one of my teachers, sees things. They look at the face and they already know. They looked at my face and this here. I'm like, yes. I'm like, oh man. How does that activate? They give their devotion to the planets. Okay. So Nishita, much planetary placement or combination shows past life connection with a person. Well, here's the thing. Sorry to tell you, but whomever you're running into in this life, you've had a past life connection with them. Okay. Whether it's your mother, your father, your sibling, your lovers, the person you dated for only one day, person you just said hi to and you felt this strong connection. And usually, though, if you just want to know the combination, of course, Ketu's involved very strongly. Okay. will always be somehow involved with the strong past life karmic relationship, because Ketu is a core ruler of that. And what we're cleaning, like for example, in pending karma, we're looking at the 8th house. Originally, 8th house is Scorpio, right? Which is Ketu, the past. So it's very important to look at these particular planets, especially I'm sure you're talking about love and relationships, romantic relationships. So Ketu, Scorpio, Venus obviously naturally will play a part together or sometimes separately, maybe in their own respective sub-period or sub-sub-period. That will be a strong thing. You will see Atmakarka in the Navamsha when it's conjunct a planet. Okay, the lordship of the planet and what that planet represents shows a strong karmic connection with person. So for example, let's say your Atmakarka is Sun, and Sun is conjunct Saturn in the Navamsha. You're going to have a strong karmic link with a servant from past life in this life. Whether they come in as your spouse, whether they come in as your child, or whether they come in as your greatest enemy, that's another thing, but that's how you see it as well. Okay. So these are some of the things, and there are many more ways to look at the connections. Okay, so they said, no, again, personal placement, I can't do anything with that. Anjali says, thank you for whatever you do for us. Please, please. Sad. Make a video in Hindi. अरे बाबा, मैं हिंदी में बना चुका हूं कितने वीडियो बनाए हैं मैंने, कम से कम 3-4 वीडियो बनाए होंगे मेरी अपनी अर्ली लाइफ में यूट्यूब के। तो हाँ, हिंदी का वीडियो हम कर लेंगे, पर यह है कि मोस्टली जो ऑडियंस होते हैं वो बाहर के होते हैं। मोस्टली ऑडियंस मेरे इंडिया के भी हैं, यूके के भी हैं, और यूएस और कनाडा के भी हैं, साउथ अमेरिका के भी हैं। Oh, मेरी बैटरी लो हो रही है. My battery is running low. That means I'm going to have to end this. So there you go. You just heard me say Naam, Sat Sri Akal, Adab. फिर मिलेंगे आपसे next week. We'll see you guys next week, and maybe we'll do some Hindi streaming for you all. Oh, I should have brought my adapter upstairs because this is going to kill my battery right now. All right, guys. We'll see you later. Bye-bye.